Okay, let's unpack this. What if many of those frustrating health issues you might be dealing with, recurring colds, maybe that persistent stuffy nose, digestive troubles, feeling just wiped out?
Or even maybe some mood or focus challenges.
Exactly. What if, and this is all based on the source material you shared with us, they all trace back to one surprising root cause?
It's a really central idea in the source material, isn't it? This concept that everything, especially your immune system, really starts in the intestine.
Right. And the material connects this foundation to a huge range of problems that seem, well, totally unrelated on the surface.
Yeah, it's quite the list. We're talking about, like you said, those colds that just won't quit, mucus issues, allergies.
Gastritis, reflux, acidity problems, or, interestingly, sometimes not enough acid, which the source highlights.
Uh-huh. And even liver problems like fatty liver showing up on an ultrasound.
Absolutely. Plus, the source connects it to specific gut disorders, things like dysbiosis, that's the microbial imbalance, or SIBO,
Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, yeah.
problems with bowel movements, recurring UTIs, candidiasis.
Genital or oral, yeah. And then that really deep fatigue, chronic tiredness, sleep issues like insomnia.
And the source even explores potential links to anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia, and some really serious neurological conditions, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia.
It's a remarkably broad scope, suggesting this powerful underlying connection.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to explore those connections, get into the gut's vital role, and introduce the specific plant the source focuses on, Cello de Oro, or Goldenseal.
Yeah, which the source suggests can kind of help bridge these things and correct these imbalances.
And just to be super clear from the get-go, everything we're talking about today, every potential link or use, comes specifically from the information provided in the source material you sent us.
Precisely. We're digging into that information to see what insights we can pull out about this whole gut connection and where golden seal might fit in.
Okay, so let's start right there. This core idea. It all begins in the intestine, especially immunity. How does the source explain that cascade? How can a gut issue lead to, say, allergies or fatigue?
Well, the source paints a picture of the digestive tract as this central highway, and it emphasizes that if something goes wrong early on, say in the stomach,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't just stay there. It creates this ripple effect or cascade impacting other systems. And the immune system is front and center because, 70–80% of our immune cells are actually in the gut lining.
Okay, let's trace that cascade,
Mm.
because the source brings in Goldenseal pretty quickly as something that can help.
That's right. Cello de oro, or Hydrastis canadensis.
Native to North America, I believe.
Correct. And its main function, according to this source, is pretty interesting. It acts as a sort of communicator between the digestive system and the immune system,
Communicator, okay.
which is why it's presented as potentially helpful for this wide array of issues stemming from that gut immune link.
So, tracing it back, where does the source say this cascade often kicks off within the digestive system itself?
Often right at the very beginning. The stomach. The source is really emphatic about this.
Hmm.
Your stomach needs to be acidic.
Needs to be.
Yep.
But people often try to reduce acid
Right.
because of heartburn or discomfort.
Exactly. And the source flags this as a common mistake, trying to eliminate acidity because you equate burning with too much acid, when that might not be the case.
So the source suggests low acid is actually the problem sometimes.
Yes. It argues that when stomach acidity is low, it creates an environment where certain bacteria, especially H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori,
Right, heard of that one.
can multiply too much, it gets out of balance. And when H. pylori is dysregulated like that, the source says the stomach lining itself starts to malfunction. It affects acid production, enzyme release, the works.
And the stomach controls key digestive valves too, doesn't it?
It does. Critical ones. The source mentions the pyloric valve leaving the stomach and the ileocecal valve between the small and large intestine. If the stomach lining isn't working right due to H. pylori issues.
Those valves get disrupted.
Precisely. And that disruption, according to the source, is really the starting point for a lot of downstream digestive problems. It leads straight into dysbiosis, that microbial imbalance, and can contribute to things like SIBO. It's presented as step one in the cascade within the gut itself.
Okay, so low stomach acid potentially allows H. pylori overgrowth, which messes with the stomach lining and the valves, leading to dysbiosis and maybe SIBO. Where does it go next? The source mentioned a liver connection.
Ah, yes, the enterohepatic circuit. That's this loop between the liver and the intestines. The liver makes bile. sends it to the gut to help with fat digestion,
Hmm.
and then a lot of those bile acids get reabsorbed in the large intestine and sent back to the liver through a specific blood vessel, the portal vein. It's a recycling system.
And if that system breaks down because the gut's not healthy,
The source uses pretty strong language. It says it leads to permanent intoxication. Basically, we end up constantly recirculating toxins and waste products that should have been eliminated.
and that's when the immune system starts taking a major hit.
Yes, the source directly links this chronic intoxication from a faulty enterohepatic circuit to the immune system starting to collapse under the load. And it also says this directly contributes to intestinal hyperpermeability.
Leaky gut,
That's the common term, yeah. The gut lining gets damaged, becomes too porous.
allowing things into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there.
Exactly. Bacterial fragments, specifically called endotoxins in the source. When these leak through, it triggers what the source calls endotoxemia. It describes it as systemic or metabolic infection.
So not just a gut problem anymore.
No, the whole body becomes intoxicated, particularly hitting metabolic processes and really compromising the immune system. It's shown as a direct result of that initial breakdown starting way back in the stomach.
Wow, okay, so that path, low acid, H. pylori, valve issues, dysbiosis, messed up liver-gut circuit, leaky gut, systemic intoxication. It's a clear chain reaction described in the source.
It lays it out step by step.
Now, back to Goldenseal, the source uses the word miraculous at one point. That's strong.
It does, yeah, based on the good results reported. But it immediately follows up by saying, look, it's not a magic bullet on its own. It works best strategically, combined with other supports.
What specific properties does the source say it has? Why might it help with this cascade?
It lists several key actions. It's anti-inflammatory, which is huge given the irritation involved.
Mhm.
It's immunomodulatory, helps regulate that stressed immune system.
Okay.
It's antimicrobial, which ties back to the H. pylori and dysbiosis issues. It's also seen as a general digestive aid. And interestingly, it's reported to help manage mucous membranes, the mucosas.
Not just in the gut.
No, in places like the throat, the nose, connecting it to allergic rhinitis, asthma, even COPD secretions.
That's a broad reach. And there's a key active compound in Goldenseal responsible for a lot of this, according to the source.
Yes, the main one highlighted is berberine.
Berberine. Okay, I think people might have heard of that for other things, like blood sugar.
Exactly. The source mentions it's excellent for managing blood glucose and also cholesterol. It makes a comparison calling it like natural metformin, but adding that, in their experience, it really works very well.
And Goldenseal is basically powered up or potentiated by this berberine content.
That's the idea presented in the source, yes. Berberine is the heavy hitter, giving Goldenseal much of its reported power.
Okay, so we've got this plant, Goldenseal, with antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, immunomodulating effects, largely thanks to berberine, poised to tackle these gut-derived issues. But you said the source stresses using it in combinations.
Absolutely critical, according to this material. And it really emphasizes figuring out your main problem area first. Where are your symptoms loudest? Don't try to fix everything at once. Focus.
Right, so let's walk through those combinations the source suggests. If the main issue seems to be the stomach acidity, reflux, maybe known H. pylori, perhaps from heavy antacid use.
For stomach-centric issues, the source suggests combining Goldenseal with licorice, specifically for its antimicrobial action against H. pylori. Also, zinc carnosine and aloe vera.
With the aloe, make sure it's without a loin, right?
Crucial point, yes, to avoid the laxative effect. And if low stomach acid, hypochlorhydria, is actually the problem, the source mentions potentially adding betaine HCl to help supplement acid levels.
Makes sense. What if the focus seems to be the liver? Maybe poor digestion signs in the stool, fatty liver on an ultrasound, high liver enzymes and blood work.
For liver support within this context, the source recommends combining Goldenseal with N-acetylcysteine, or NAC.
For glutathione production.
Exactly. Plus omega-3s and liposomal glutathione, emphasizing liposomal for better absorption. This combo targets digestion and immunity, but with a real focus on helping that liver-gut circuit.
Okay, now for the intestines themselves. Significant bloating after eating, pain, irregular bowel movements, maybe an IBS diagnosis, or that leaky gut suspicion.
This is where L-glutamine comes in strongly in the source material. Combine Goldenseal with L-glutamine.
Why L-glutamine?
The source explains it helps close barriers. It nourishes the gut lining, helps repair that leakiness. Meanwhile, Goldenseal is working on the digestive, microbial, and immune aspects right there at the gut wall.
Got it. What if the main presentation is just a weak immune system? Constant colds, flu, nasal congestion needing sprays, maybe even coughing or sneezing after meals.
The source connects this back to that common immune system of the mucosas that linked defense network from your sinuses down to your gut. If it's weak, you see problems in both respiratory and digestive areas.
So for that, the source suggests.
Combining Goldenseal with cat's claw. The source notes this specific pairing has shown very good results. Plus, general immune support like zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D, ideally with K2.
Interesting. Tying the nose and the gut immune systems together like that. What about focusing just on dysbiosis, especially if it's linked to major fatigue or insomnia?
If dysbiosis is the identified culprit, maybe from a test or just the symptoms that deep fatigue, chronic tiredness, interrupted sleep, the source suggests combining Goldenseal with echinacea.
Echinacea, why that?
It says echinacea really boosts or potentiates Goldenseal's antimicrobial action, helping to rebalance the gut flora. And it adds a note that gut microbes are often more active at night, so bad dysbiosis could genuinely disrupt sleep.
And finally, it mentions specific bugs like E. coli or candida.
Yes, the source confirms Goldenseal's antimicrobial properties make it useful for tackling specific issues like E. coli found in tests, or those recurring urinary infections, or candida overgrowth, whether it's genital or oral thrush.
Okay, that's a lot of specific combinations for different scenarios. But the force includes some really important warnings about Goldenseal use itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely crucial caveats. It's very, very clear. Goldenseal is potent. It should not be taken long-term or in high doses.
What are the limits given in the source?
Maximum dose, 300 to 400 milligrams per day.
Okay. And for Hapong?
Maximum duration, 3 to 4 weeks. That's it.
3 to 4 weeks max. Why the caution?
The source warns that going over that dose or duration risks side effects, irritation of the digestive lining, stomach upset, even skin issues. It's positioned as a short-term intervention, not a daily supplement forever.
And related to the combinations, a warning about trying too many at once.
Yes, definitely. It specifically advises against taking Goldenseal with all the different support nutrients mentioned across the board that could apparently overwhelm or collapse the immune system.
So stick to the one main area.
Pick your primary battle, focus the support there first. That's the advice.
And maybe the biggest caveat of all, none of this works in a vacuum, right? The source talks about lifestyle.
It hammers this point home. Goldenseal, or any plant, any supplement, will not work effectively, or maybe not at all, if you don't have foundational healthy habits in place. Lifestyle and diet are non-negotiable.
And it specifically calls out refined carbs and sugar as things to avoid.
Yes, avoiding those is presented as absolutely essential for the plant to do its job properly. The source calls these epigenetic peripheral habits, basically. Your daily choices profoundly influence how everything else works, including how your body responds to something like Goldenseal. You have to address the underlying drivers.
Okay, that brings us full circle almost. Back to the bigger picture, beyond just digestion and immunity. The source links all this back to the brain.
It does. It revisits that gut-brain axis, explains how the digestive system is directly wired to your brain and nervous system, the psychoneurocognitive system, mainly through the vagus nerve. It's a two-way street.
So, a messed up gut doesn't just cause physical symptoms, it impacts mood, thinking.
That's the connection the source makes. A coherent digestive system, balanced microbes, right, acidity, good liver function, healthy gut lining, supported by conscious, healthy eating, leads to a coherent gut-brain conversation. The signals are healthy.
And this loops back to that initial list, including anxiety, depression, even the neurological conditions.
Exactly. The source reiterates that potential link. It suggests that addressing gut health, getting that foundation right, might be a crucial piece in managing anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia, maybe even playing a role in Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, starting in the gut.
So there we have it, a really deep dive into Goldenseal Sella d'Oro, based entirely on the source material you provided. It's kind of amazing how this one plant is reported to touch so many different areas, all stemming from the gut.
Yeah, the key takeaways from the source seem really clear. First, figure out your specific issue. Then, use Goldenseal strategically, probably in a targeted combination.
But not all combinations at once.
Definitely not. And respect those dosage and duration limits, 300, 400 milligrams a day, max 3 to 4 weeks. And maybe most importantly,
the lifestyle stuff. Diet. Especially cutting out refined carbs and sugar. It won't work without that foundation.
that's the essential prerequisite, according to this source.
It really makes you pause, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you consider how much of our overall health, physical and mental, might really start deep inside our gut.
Which leaves a question for you, the listener, based on this material. Could really focusing on that internal gut connection using the insights here be a path forward for some of the health challenges you're facing?
Something to definitely think about. Where might your body be asking for attention based on everything we've unpacked today?